We like today on Tisha B'Av to speak a little bit of more serious note, how things have happened at the Khorban Bet HaMikdash. Usually we learn the surface explanation of how the Khorban happened. We all know the Gemarot in Gittin, Perek HaNezakin, how the Romans and the Bavlim came into Bet HaMikdash, the stories of how things happened with Kamsa Bar Kamsa, and all the other things that the Gemara speaks in length. Today we want to see more in depth, a little bit touch of Kabbalah that we'll see from Nefesh HaChaim and other Mefarshim, how things have happened in Shamayim, in heaven. And this is a fascinating explanation that really takes us to a totally different place and elevates us to understand in depth of really what happens behind the scenes. And Nefesh HaChaim gives us an introduction of how things actually happens when one is sinning or when we do mitzvot. First, as an introduction, he explains that the pasuk says in a couple of places, "Vayivra Elokim et ha'adam betzalmo b'tzelem Elokim bara oto," that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created us in His image. Another place, "Ki b'tzelem Elokim asa et ha'adam," Kadosh Baruch Hu created us in His image. Now, you can explain that He did create us in the same image as Him Himself, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu obviously doesn't have an image. We don't find any place that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does have an image, and even if we would find such a thing, obviously that wouldn't be the explanation, because the very basic emunah that we have is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not have an image, He does not have a shape, en lo guf, ve'en lo dmut haguf, and that is something that is very simple. So what does it mean, B'tzelem Elokim bara et ha'adam? Says the Nefesh HaChaim, right away in the beginning, that's of Chaim Volozhiner, explains to us the fundamental of emunah, and that is B'tzelem Elokim. That comes to teach us that we have the same traits as HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we'll explain. There's also another diuk that he make that we see over here. It's not only tzelem, but it's also tzelem Elokim. Why did the pasuk specifically pick the name Elokim over Shem Hashem, Yud Kevavke? Why is it that the pasuk speaks about Elokim? Elokim normally means that he's takif, ba'al echolet, ba'al kochot kulam. What does it have to do with over here? And it comes out very interesting. It explains that there's two differences between what a man does and what HaKadosh Baruch Hu does. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to create something, He has the ability to create yesh me'ayin. He can do something from nothing. And when man does something, he can't do that. He doesn't have the ability. So let's say I would want to build a table. I would have to take a piece of wood that's already in the creation and form out of it a table. Well, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't need to do that. He can create something from nothing, like He created the whole world. Everything that's in existence is from that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created from nothing at all. Second difference between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and us is that when we create something, when we build something, like for instance the table that I just said, after it's built, the table doesn't need me anymore. I can leave, and the table is a different entity that stays there, and he could be there generations to come when the person himself is not there anymore. And it's not so when we speak about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates something, it's not enough that He created that thing, yesh me'ayin, but rather He revives it constantly, all the time. Every second, HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings it about again and again. It doesn't have a metziut. It can't be without HaKadosh Baruch Hu making it over and over again, creating it and giving it life over and over again. And this is how the Anshe Knesset HaGedolah instituted in the Tefillah, in Birkat Yotzer Or, we say, "HaMechadesh betuvo b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit." HaKadosh Baruch Hu every day mechadesh, renews the entire bria, the entire world. And not only every day, b'chol yom tamid, not only every day, but rather every moment, all the time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is renewing the whole creation over and over again. And this is the lashon of the Nefesh HaChaim, haynu tamid mamash kol et v'rega. And this is actually from the pasuk in Tehillim. It says le'oseh orim gedolim. It doesn't say asa. HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't make orim gedolim, all the great lights. Rather, HaKadosh Baruch Hu constantly makes them, le'oseh, present, le'oseh orim gedolim. So this is the difference between what Hashem makes and what mankind makes. When a person builds something, he has to do it from something that's already in his existence. And secondly, when a man does something, he just leaves it after it's done, and it's there by itself. He doesn't need the man anymore to keep on giving it the existence. Unlike a Kadosh Baruch Hu, he can make yesh ve'ayin, and secondly, he needs to constantly give it life, and that is the specialty of what a Kadosh Baruch Hu creations are. And it adds to that and says that that's the reason it says Elokim, Elokim, B'Tselem Elokim bara et ha'adam. Why do we use the word Elokim? Because that is Baal HaKochot Kulam, which means he needs to give the power, the strength to everything to exist. If he stops giving that for a second, it just doesn't continue being there by itself. That's the word Elokim. Baal HaKochot, Takif Baal HaKochot Kulam, which means he gives it life, he gives us the power, he gives it the energy to exist. Now, to explain this a little bit more, we know that the whole world is created out of atoms. And those atoms are really, when we think about it, is a fascinating thing. Because you see that the atoms are made out of electrons that spins around the nucleus, the protons, and the neutrons constantly, spinning, spinning, spinning. Everything in the world is made out of those atoms that keep on spinning around it. So if you think about it, for us, it's a little bit hard to understand how a solid thing should be created over and over again. A Kadosh Baruch Hu needs to give it life over and over again. But it's much easier to understand if we know that it needs to be constantly revolved. Somebody has to be moving it. Somebody has to give it energy. When we want to spin a ball, if we don't spin the ball, it's not going to spin by itself. Anything, a fan that's spinning, we have to press and give it energy in order to spin. And therefore, when we think about it, we can clearly understand that nothing spins by itself. So everything that's in existence, that's spinning constantly, obviously has a hand that's constantly spinning it. And that makes us a little bit better understand what the Nefesh HaChaim explains, that you need to have constant power behind it, give it energy constantly in order to keep the world in existence. It's even explained a little bit more in Nefesh HaChaim, Shar Gimel Perek Bet, where he explains that, and he says the following words, העולמות כולם, כל עיקר התהוות מציאותם, כל רגע, הוא רק מאיתו יתברך שמו. Everything in the world, all the worlds are only every second from him יתברך. ואילו היה מסלק רצונו יתברך מלהוות אותם כל רגע, היו לעין ולאפס ממש. If he stops for a moment giving it life, everything would turn into zero, into nothing. It would disappear. And now we can understand it very clearly, because since everything is made out of atoms, if those electrons stop spinning around, they would stop for a split moment, everything disappears, everything falls apart. ורק מחמת שאין בכוח שום נברא להשיג מהות העניין, איך כל העולמות וכל צבאם הם בעצם עין, ורק כל רגע הם המתהווים למציאות ממנו יתברך. Says the Nefesh HaChaim, in reality, the whole world is nothing at all. And just every second, HaKadosh Baruch Hu over and over again creates everything and makes it live. So now we can clearly understand, since everything is made out of atoms that are really nothing. Atoms are really nothing, because the electrons that are spinning, compared to the space between, is 0.0001. The atoms, the space in between is 99.999 against that is solid around. But it's spinning, so it makes the solid around us. It makes everything around us. It makes the whole physical world around us. So that's a very interesting thing. Comes the Nefesh HaChaim and says, that is the beautiful creation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is very hard to understand. But that's what it is. Now, that's step one. Step two comes the Nefesh HaChaim and teaches us something that's really fundamental in our emunah. And that is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created us, Jewish people, with the same ability as HaKadosh Baruch Hu to create things. יש מאין. Let's read it inside. כן, בדמיון זה כביכול ברא הוא יתברך את האדם, השליטו על ריבון כוחות ועולמות אין מספר ומסרם בידו, שיהו המדבר והמנהיג אותם. הקדוש ברוך הוא gave the power to men to create the world over and over again, just like he did. על פי כל פרטי תנועות מעשיו, דיבוריו ומחשבותיו וכל סדרי הנהגותיו, הן לטוב והן להפך. כי במעשיו ודיבוריו ומחשבותיו הטובים, when a person thinks about something that is positive, it's good, or he does something that is good, or speaks something that is positive and good, הוא מקיים ונותן כוח בכמה כוחות ועולמות עליונים הקדושים. What he does, he creates spiritual worlds in Shamayim. Those spiritual worlds that he creates and he adds to it, as the words of the Nefesh HaChaim, מוסיף בהם קדושה ואור, he adds to them kedusha and light. Those worlds that are created are able now to be mashpia, to bring down all the good to this world. That's the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the spiritual worlds with connection to these physical worlds, that whenever we do something good, we mashpia, we give those lights to those worlds, and those lights are mashpia good to this world. And he explains that it's בהיפוך חס ושלום, same thing happens the opposite way. על ידי מעשיו ודיבוריו ומחשבותיו אשר לא טובים, when a person does something negative, הוא מארס, רחמנא ליצלן, כמה כוחות. He breaks and he ruins those spiritual worlds, which therefore brings down all kind of disasters to this world. That's what it says in the pasuk. Me'arsayich u'machrevaich memech yitzeu. All the disasters, all the things that are breaking down, all the ruins and spoils is because of us. Memech yitzeu. What we do. We do something wrong. Everything that happens in this world is a result of our action. Beautiful Nefesh HaChaim. Mimele Nefesh HaChaim explains that this is the reason of the Khorban Bet HaMikdash. Khorban Bet HaMikdash was because Am Yisrael did so many terrible things that in Shamayim they ruined so many worlds that were holding the Bet HaMikdash HaElyon. Mimele, once that happened, the Bet HaMikdash HaTachton, the Bet HaMikdash in this world couldn't exist anymore, couldn't hold anymore. It fell apart. And Chazal tells us in the acts of Nebuchadnezzar and Titus that really couldn't do anything. Although they came to Bet HaMikdash and they burned it, but the Bat Kol came down and said, no, you did nothing. Kemach tachun tachant. What you did was nothing. You burned the burnt house. You destroyed the destroyed house. They couldn't do anything. Lo asu b'maasem shum pgam v'kilkul klal lemala. Because what you do in this world, you don't have the ability to do anything unless in Shamayim, in the spiritual world, a wound was done, a kilkul was done. כי לא היה להם חלק ושורש בעולמות העליונים. Goyim don't have the ability to touch those spiritual worlds. Only us, Jewish people. So Am Yisrael did so much terrible things with their bad action, with the averot, with sinning, that the worlds, spiritual worlds, were destroyed, and that is the reason this world was affected, and Bet HaMikdash here was destroyed. So he brings down that לא היה להם שום כוח לנבוכדנצר וטיטוס להחריב המקדש של מטה, המכוון נגד המקדש של מעלה, כמו שאמרו חז"ל, קמחה תחינה תחנת. הרי כי בעוונותינו החריבו נווה מעלה. It's only our sins that destroyed everything. עולמות עליונים הקדושים, the spiritual world, the spiritual בית המקדש that caused this world over here as well to be destroyed. So now, when we understand that, comes the Nefesh HaChaim and takes us even a step higher than that and explains in Perek Tet something fascinating even more. He says that you should know that when we explaining that, there's even a deeper understanding to that, and that is that Am Yisrael and only Am Yisrael can do everything in the world. Not only that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the keys, just like He could create worlds and could do things in the spiritual world that affect this world as well, but rather HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave it completely to Am Yisrael, and He put Himself, so to speak, to the side, and He's not involved in what happens in this world. And He says and He explains, Lachen bekriyat Yam Suf, in Kriyat Yam Suf, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Ma titzak elai daber el bnei Yisrael v'yisau. don't get me involved in this. I'm not involved anymore. I don't have a hand in helping you out. It's all about you. דבר על בני ישראל וייסעו, רוצה לומר, דבדידהות עליה מילתא. It's 100% up to them. שאם יהיו בתוקף האמונה והביטחון, the ocean would be split because they'll have an effect in שמיים that will have immediately effect in this world. And he explained this pasuk, unbelievable. It says that in שיר השירים, the pasuk says, לסוסתי ברכבי פרעה, דימיתיך רעייתי. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, לסוסתי, just like the horses of the chariots of Paro, I compared you, Rayati Am Israel. What does that mean? Explains the Kaf HaChaim that normally, when you have a chariot, you have a rider, and you have a horse, who leads who? The rider leads the horse, or the horse leads the rider? Of course the rider. Oy va'avoy, if the horse would lead the rider, the rider has to tell the horse when to go fast, when to go slow, when to go to the right, when to go to the left, when to stop, when to rest. That's the way it is. Otherwise, you can't ride on such a horse. But there was one time that the horse took charge of the chariot. When was that? When they were going into Yam Suf. When they were going into Yam Suf, the Mitzrim in the army of Paro saw the ocean split. And they saw on one side the ocean was like a wall, and on the other side the ocean was like a wall. There's two walls, and they have to go right in between. It's a very scary thing. They didn't want to go. They were scared. Imagine you see a wall of water on your right and on your left. You have to go in between a narrow path. What happens if in a second everything falls onto them? It's a very, very scary scenario. So they didn't want to go. They wanted to make a U-turn. But the horse forced them to go. They took charge. They didn't listen to them. So that's what it says here. Lesusati berichve Paro. Just like in the chariots of Paro. Who took charge? The horses, the Susati. Dimitich Rayati. Same thing here. Am Israel, so to speak, takes charge and leads HaKadosh Baruch Hu to wherever we decide. רוצה לומר, the words of the Nefesh HaChaim, רוצה לומר, כמו בסוסי פרעה, שהיה הפך מנהגו של עולם, שהרוכב מנהיג לסוס. Over here, normally, the רוכב, the chariots, the rider leads the horse, ובפרעה וחילו הסוס הנהיג את רוכבו. The opposite happened. The horse leads the chariots, כמו שאמרו חז"ל, כן דימיתיך רעייתי והמשכתיך רעייתי. Same thing, you עם ישראל. על זה אופן ממש, אף שאני רוכב ערבות. הקדוש ברוך הוא is the one normally רוכב ערבות, עם כל זה כביכול את מנהיגה אותי על ידי מעשייך. Beautiful. עם ישראל leads הקדוש ברוך הוא, שעניין התחברותי כביכול לעולמות הוא רק כפי עניין התעוררות מעשייך לאן נוטים. זה שאומר הכתוב, רוכב שמיים בעזרך הקדוש ברוך הוא, which is רוכב שמיים is בעזרך עם ישראל ה-leading הקדוש ברוך הוא. And that's what it says, העבודה צורך גבוה, which means everything that happens in this world is not only, like we said before, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu compared Am Yisrael to him, that Am Yisrael are able to create things, to do things, but not only that, comes Nefesh HaChaim explains even more so, that he gave the full driver wheel, so to speak, to Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael are on the driver's seat, and they leading now the world the way they commit their mitzvot or averot. Whatever they do, that's the way the world goes. And with that understanding, we can definitely understand that the Chorban Habayit was 100% a result of the sinning of Am Yisrael, because of the reason we explained before, because of the, instead of bringing out Shefa, Kedusha, Ve'or to Olamot HaElyonim, and with that, making the world a better place, Am Yisrael did the opposite with their sins, where they brought up to Shamayim, to Olamot HaElyonim, Kilkulim, and with those Kilkulim, the ultimate Kilkul of Bet HaMikdash happened. Now, Shimshon Pinkus in his drasha on Tisha B'Av, it gave us a little bit more depth to the understanding that I just said right now. He says like this, there's a midrash in Echa Rabbah, Parashat Daled. It says over there, Mizmor le'asaf, Elokim ba'u goyim lachalatecha. A song to Asaf, he sings that the goyim came to the Bet HaMikdash to destroy it. The midrash asks, why does it says Mizmor le'asaf? That's the way you describe something so terrible as a song. Mizmor le'asaf. Ba'u goyim lachalatecha. The goyim came to destroy your house. That's not a song. לא היה צריך למאמר אלא בכי לאסף, נהי לאסף, קינה לאסף. It's not a song over here. it's נהי, it's קינה. מה הוא אומר מזמור? אלא, משל, למלך שעשה בית חופה לבנו. It's a parable to a king that created a bet chuppah, a place to get married, sida, and he got ready the house for the khatan that he should live in there with his new kala. Beautiful. ויצא בנו לתרבות רעה. Instead of going in there and elevating his new house and creating and building a new house, instead of that, he went out to a bad place. מיד עלה המלך לחופה, קרא הווילנות ושיבר את הקנים. The king went in there and destroyed the chuppah, destroyed the new house. נטל פגגות של ליבוב, של קנים, והיה מזמר. There was over there pedagogue, one of the people that was involved with the king. He took some of the poles that are left and he took them and he started singing. So they asked him, why singing? He just broke the chuppah. Is that a time to sing? He told them, yes. Instead of getting his anger at the son of a king, at the prince, he got his anger on the house at the chuppah. Now, this is the mashal. What's the nimshal? The nimshal is us. This Bet HaMikdash, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right now had a Bet HaMikdash and Am Yisrael. Instead of taking his anger on Am Yisrael, Kadosh Baruch Hu took his anger at Bet HaMikdash. Now, says Rav Shimshon Pinkus, don't think the simple explanation that is the true explanation, which means HaKadosh Baruch Hu got angry and he needed to take his anger at something, and he took his anger instead of on Am Yisrael, on Bet HaMikdash, and with that he come his anger. No, of course not. Chas v'shalom, to think that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gets angry and he needs to calm his anger down, that's definitely not the explanation. Rather, he explains it in a beautiful way. And that is that according to the Sfarim Kadmonim, the Kabbalah, there's something called kelim and orot, vessels and lights. And the explanation to that, what's the difference between vessel and lights? The guf, the body, is considered a keli, a vessel. The neshama is the light that goes into the vessel. And those lights come down from Shamayim into the vessels. Now, to compare that to Bet HaMikdash and Am Yisrael, Bet HaMikdash was the great light of the world. That was a spiritual light. It's not a physical light in any way. We're not talking about physical light. These are spiritual things. We're talking about vessels and lights that are spiritual. The light of Bet HaMikdash, which came down, shined extremely big light of Kedusha in the world. The kelim that have to hold the light were Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael, with their deeds, are the vessels holding the light. Now, something interesting that the Kabbalah explains is that whenever you have lights that go into the vessel, if there's a little bit light that goes into the vessel, which means the vessel doesn't completely filled of that light, so the vessel could hold. It doesn't maybe operate in the best possible way because it's half full or 3/4 full. It's much better when you have a full vessel, then it operates much better. It's just like, for instance, if you take a mashal, you have a computer and you put in there a lot of data, it works much better than if you have a computer and you put only 10% of data. So the computer doesn't work and doesn't perform as well as you would want it because it doesn't have all the data that could really make it work to the best possible way to take to the full potential. It doesn't use its full potential. Or same thing here. When you have a keli and the light in the keli, in the vessel, is not to the top, so it doesn't use its full potential. Whenever it's full to the top, it's used to the fullest potential. That's the best possible scenario. But, says the Kabbalah, that if you have more light than the vessel could hold, you condense it, and you try to push more light into the vessel, eventually what happens is a break of the vessel. It's called shvirat hakelim in Kabbalah. And then everything is destroyed. And that's what happened over here. In Bet HaMikdash was a great light. It was shining, but it needed a vessel. Am Yisrael were the vessel with the mitzvot, with the good deeds. And as long as they were able to hold the light of the Bet HaMikdash, the whole world was benefiting from that light, from that Kedusha. But what happened in that generation when there was Khurban Bet HaMikdash, Am Yisrael started ruining the vessel. Since it started ruining the vessel was not able to hold the great light of the Bet HaMikdash. And therefore, what would happen automatically because of that would be a breakdown of the vessel, which means, in our understanding, destruction of the Jewish nation. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, instead of, as not naturally should have been, destroy the vessel because it would be a break of the vessel, Shvirat HaKelim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu did a big thing to Am Yisrael, and that is, he reduced the light. He took away the Bet HaMikdash. And now the vessel could stay, and the Bet HaMikdash is not there. This is the explanation of the Chorban Bet HaMikdash. And that's the reason Asaf sings, Mizmor le'Asaf, Ba'u Goyim, Elokim Ba'u Goyim Nachalatecha, which means HaKadosh Baruch Hu, naturally, according to the normal events, should have broke the vessel, should have broke Am Yisrael, Chas v'Shalom. Instead of that, he took Bet HaMikdash. And this is something that already was pre-planned when HaKadosh Baruch Hu asked Moshe Rabbeinu to build the Mishkan. Mishkan, Chazal tell us, is Melashon Mashkon, which means it's a Mashkon, it's a collateral to make sure that Am Yisrael behaves correctly. As long as you behave correctly, you do mitzvot, you do the right things, so the Mashkon, which is the Mishkan, is there. If not, he takes it away. But that is how things unfolded. What do we learn today from all that? On Tisha B'Av, we need to learn that everything is up to us. The entire thing is up to us. If we do the right thing, we are actually building the Bet HaMikdash Shel Mala. And these are not just words. It's nice to sing it in different songs. It's nice to talk about it to our children. But we need to bring it into ourselves. We need to actually be mafnim, to understand that inside, that this is how really things are. When we do a mitzvah, it's not just a nice thing, but it's really building another brick in Bet HaMikdash Shel Mala, which eventually, when you have Bet HaMikdash Shel Mala built, HaKadosh Baruch Hu builds Bet HaMikdash Shel Mata. It's right away works like that. Am Yisrael are in complete control. It's, so to speak, HaKadosh Baruch Hu put himself to the side, as we saw from the Nefesh HaChaim. It's all about you. We can pray that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should build Bet HaMikdash, and that means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help us do the right thing that eventually would bring to the building of the Bet HaMikdash. Chas v'shalom, not to do averot, which again, everything that already is built over there. It could be that right now, as we're talking, it's 99.9% built, and we need another little brick and a few more good things in order to complete Bet HaMikdash. When we do averah, that takes it down, that breaks another brick, and we go down, and now we have to restart building whatever was broken over and over again. All things are very, very important for us to understand, because that is the depth of the destruction of Bet HaMikdash. But not only that, that is the depth also of understanding how world works, and this is how the Torah teaches us things are. Be'ezrat Hashem, we should be zocheh to see bebinyan Bet HaMikdash. במהרה בימינו, אמן.